How to hypnotize yourself to get more freedom. I have hundreds of clients coming to me, and this is the most common question. And think about it, what are you struggling with right now? And how is that affecting your freedom? Because when you're looking at the surface level obstacle, when you're looking at that problem on top, it's never about the problem that you can see. It's about the underlying issue. What is this holding you back from getting? And the answer is always freedom. It's full self-expression. It's the fulfillment of our true potential. There's a great saying that God's best gift to you is more potential than you could ever possibly hope to realize. And your gift to the universe is to realize as much of that potential as you possibly can. And so when we look at our obstacles, when we look at our frustrations, 90% of the time, that frustration, it's so irritating because it's restricting our freedom. Now, I had to fight really hard to learn this. I feel like the blessing and the curse of my life has been having difficulty with this full freedom, with this full self-expression. But it's through struggling with this that I came to a lot of answers, and that I realized all of those answers were in my subconscious mind. Now, there's 3 steps to getting way more freedom in your life. And the first massive game changer is realizing that you can't rely on your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is not helping you, it is trapping you. We've been pushed into this over-reliance, this over-dependence on our conscious mind, but this is where our self-expression gets blocked. So the conscious mind is what we're actively thinking with. And what most people don't realize is, although it's the part that we're using, it's actually the most small and insignificant part of our brain. You see, the conscious mind processes 150 to 250 bits of information per second, but the subconscious mind processes 150 to 250 million bits of information per second. And so when we try to get more out of our life, when we try to make changes with the conscious mind, we're only tapping into a tiny, tiny part of ourselves. And it's like this little mask. It's this little illusion. It's something that we tell ourselves we have control over, and we force it, and we're trying really hard. And I bet you've been in a situation where the harder you try, the worse things seem to get. You were like a rat running on that mouse wheel, running and running and running. And the more effort you put in, the less you seemed to go anywhere. And what's happening is, by relying on this conscious mind, it is telling yourself the reason why you rely so heavily on your conscious mind is because deep down you believe that you aren't worthy, you aren't capable, you aren't already at this level, you don't already have this thing. Whatever it is that you feel held back from, whatever part of you that you would like to have more fulfillment in, by using your conscious mind, by trying to force and jam it so that you feel finally complete in this area with the conscious mind, using the conscious mind as your tool to do this, it's saying that you don't trust yourself and that this isn't something real for you. It's something that you have to put on and try to do. But think about it like this. The most successful people in the world, the most charismatic people in the world, they're not trying, they're not putting that on. That is who they are. So when you try to be more disciplined, when you force yourself or try to be more successful, you force yourself to make changes and you stick to this rigid willpower route of even making a change, right? Going from someone who's addicted to scrolling, addicted to Instagram, addicted to weed, addicted to anything, to someone who's not addicted. Where people get this wrong, this is secret number 2. Most people shift the habit, not the identity. And that's actually the last thing that I'll ever do in a hypnosis session. We focus 95 to 99% of the session on shifting identity, and the habit or the behavior comes as a side effect of that identity shift. So when you've tried this before, let's take the example of a smoker. A smoker tries to quit and they do it the normal day way. They try just use willpower. What they do is they stay a smoker, but they're just a smoker who doesn't smoke. And that's why no matter how long you might go, 1 week, 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, they find themselves falling back into that old pattern because they didn't break the loop. They didn't shift the identity. They were just still a smoker who was refraining from doing what they were at their root. But if you want to make real change, if you want to make profound change, and not only more effective, but more conveniently, more easily, the way to change is to shift your identity first. You don't want to just be fighting yourself every day. That's why change feels so difficult for most people, is because you're staying the same person, but trying to do different things. It just isn't aligned. It's out of alignment. Where most people go wrong is they try to have the conscious mind of one person while they still have the subconscious of another, of a lesser self. And if you think about it, if you try to have a greater conscious mind while you still have that lesser subconscious, you only got greater with the insignificant, tiny part of your brain. And that's why it feels like you're fighting uphill this whole time, because you literally are. You're outmanned, you're outgunned by the super powerful subconscious. It's not until your subconscious is in alignment that you can actually make this change permanently. So this is the absolutely crazy part. Why do my clients drop smoking after 5 years, 10 years, 30 years as a smoking addict? Why does someone that sees me for just 5 minutes, not even a full session, just people at networking events that I bump into, I hypnotize them in under 5 minutes and their life changes within 24 hours. People coming up to me, I see them, they get a new job the next day. It was insane, a dental turnaround. He was told his teeth were never gonna get fixed. Within the same week, he hears totally different news. He hears insane news. Why do all these stories, why do all these massive shifts happen? Alcoholics, meth addicts, so many things, it's hard to even describe. Why do all of those massive shifts and transformations happen? Well, it's actually because their identity shifted inside. The only reason you have the results in your life that you currently do is because of the identity you currently have. Now, what do I mean by that? Your subconscious, sub meaning below, conscious, your conscious awareness. Your subconscious is all of the processes and activities below your conscious awareness. The stuff going on in your brain that you're not even aware is happening. Now, the human body is the most complicated machinery in the entire world. Your subconscious is smart enough to control all of that. It can beat your heart, digest your food, keep your eyes working, take in the sounds of the background. There's probably something behind this video right now that you're aware of, even though you're focused in on me. Your subconscious holds and works with and acts on so much information non-stop. It can control the most complicated machine in the entire world, yet we don't give it credit for what it's doing to your life without you even realizing. You see these things in your life that you're frustrated by, not making enough money, not finding that relationship, struggling with an addiction, not having enough freedom. It's because you have the subconscious identity of someone that has these issues. When you have this identity, your subconscious has to work to keep these issues in place. And this is totally crazy, but think about it. It's actually easier to not be broke than it is to be broke. It's actually easier to be happy and fulfilled than it is to be lonely and miserable. The negative actually sucks. It's more painful, it's less fulfilling, it's more exhausting, It's worse in every single way. So your brain would actually have an easier time of doing what you want to do than it would doing what you're doing right now. It's actually easier for you to make this change and get better than it is for you to stay living the way that you are right now. So if it's so much easier, why haven't you done it? Why haven't you made this change yet? Because you have the identity of someone struggling with this or these issues. And so what happens now, this can come from your childhood, just from the way you were brought up. Most people aren't living with intention, and we don't get taught how to choose our own intention and how to choose our own programming. So it's not necessarily from any terrible childhood trauma. I see a lot of people who do have really terrible childhood trauma. You might have just had an average upbringing, but if you weren't made conscious, if you weren't intentionally choosing your programming, which none of us are, from the ages of 0 to 7, everything we hear is taken in and acted upon our subconscious as true. That's called the conscious filter, and we don't develop it until we're around 7 years old. So you have all of these beliefs, this programming from the past. Maybe your life's been pretty average for the past 30 years. Maybe you've struggled for dating for the past 40 years. So you just have these beliefs that are taken up as true. And once your subconscious has information, once it is programmed a certain way, then it uses all of its incredible powers, which we underappreciate and we do not realize the true significance of, to keep you in that place, to keep you in that identity. It holds you there because that is what it's designed to do. Now, if you have a certain identity and you live contrary to that, your brain thinks you're insane. Your brain likes to keep you in the identity that is known because that is what is safe. That is what is familiar. And so it's not until you break out of that identity that you get to enjoy the massive shifts, right? When I see people at a networking event, just 2 weeks ago, I saw this guy, and I don't even have to know what's holding you back. I can just change the way your brain is working, and now realize these incredible shifts aren't coming from me. It's me guiding you to do this, to unlock this for yourself. And so in this very brief hypnosis, which you can see on my Instagram, I asked him, he was in trance, and I said, when you have in your mind what is holding you back, take a deep breath, and only when you have fully let go and moved on from that which is holding you back, your fingers will be unstuck. Now that is a subconscious suggestion. He is in trance, he is in theta brainwaves. That is where we are able to make a subconscious identity shift. And then he got his dream modeling job. He got another full-time job, which he didn't even think he was capable of doing. And he's the guy that heard some great dental news as well. I'm not sure what the full story is, but he was over the moon because we've been talking about the power of the subconscious this whole time. You're not even aware of everything which your subconscious is doing to you. Like I just said before, it's easier for you to be successful than it is to be not successful. It's easier, it's more enjoyable, it's less painful to be happy than it is to be miserable. So whatever you're suffering with, it would be easier if it wasn't there. So your brain is actually holding on to something that is holding you back because of your programming. So if that's how crazy your programming is, if you're crazy, if your subconscious can do something as crazy as holding on to something which might literally be infuriating you, making you depressed, making you anxious, driving you to the point of being suicidal. If your programming can do that, isn't it so believable that your programming can let go of all of that, that your programming can unlock more freedom, more health, more passion, more wealth for you, if it can do something that's literally going to kill you just because it believes that is right for you, just because it believes that's what your identity is, if you have the brain that believes you're a miserable loser, if your subconscious, if your programming is willing to mess itself over, if it's willing to ruin its DNA, if it's won the genetic lottery but is now killing it just because that's the programming it has, don't you think it makes total sense that you would be able to shift that, step out of that, step into something far, far better if you just had the right programming? Because it's so much easier. It feels so much freer. It's so much more blissful. I move around and I'm so glad I've left my old programming. I was just back in Auckland and coming back to Gold Coast. I feel so much more alive straight away. I feel invigorated. I feel relieved because I'm living true to myself. I'm living my best life. I'm absolutely accelerating and growing and moving towards more and more and more and more of what I want every single day because I've moved on from what was holding me back. And life was so much harder when I believed that it had to be worse. As soon as I believed that it could get better, and I still believe it can and will and is going to get better and better and better, life got better, way easier, and I had more fun while doing it. I find it easier, I find it more fun, I enjoy it more, to make way more money than I used to live in the best place in the world, so much nicer than where I used to. Back in Auckland, back where it was grey, back where it was cold. It's possible for you to succeed, and your misery, your dissatisfaction right now is actually all the proof you should need that things can get better. If your brain is willing to self-sabotage to the degree that it has for you, right? Doesn't matter what other people's problems are. What are your problems? What level of dissatisfaction do you have there? And realize, if your brain is capable of causing that frustration and that pain just because it believes that it needs to, imagine what the fuck could happen if your brain believed and knew and felt that success was inevitable for you. If it felt like there was a whole new you, if it knew that there was a potential, there was a legacy, there was a capacity within you for way more success.